Well, hello everyone. Welcome to HW News. Welcome to this live. We have been tracking the Maharashtra development since the crisis started after rebel MLAs of Shiv Sena started going to Surat. Now, in a climax of sorts of this entire political drama, today Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde has won the floor test in the State Assembly on the last day of the two-day special session in the House. Now there are 288 members of Maharashtra Assembly. Out of it, 164 MLAs voted for the motion of confidence, that is in favor of Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis government, whereas 99 MLAs voted against it. Three legislators abstained from voting, whereas Congress's Ashok Chavan and Vijay Wadettiwar and nine others were among those who were absent during the trust vote. Apparently, they could not reach the assembly on time. Speaker Rahul Narvekar, who was elected yesterday, he belongs to BJP. He carried out the entire trust vote. And as I said, the majority mark here, after the death of Shiv Sena MLA recently, the majority mark is at 144. So comfortably, the Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis camp has breezed through this floor test that was sort of the last hurdle in their path to take power in Maharashtra. So they have won the floor test, but there is one interesting development in Maharashtra as well. Sharad Pawar, apparently in internal party meeting, has already told NCP cadre to prepare for the midterm polls. He has predicted that there could be a midterm poll in Maharashtra soon, in the coming months, and that this government of Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde will not last long. Now, that's a very interesting statement to make from Sharad Pawar. So, today we will be discussing whether there is a possibility of midterm polls, like everybody was predicting earlier as well, because nobody believed that Eknath Shinde could gather these kind of numbers with him. But apparently, Eknath Shinde has gathered more than 39 MLAs of Shiv Sena with him, and now he is claiming to be the real Shiv Sena. We are joined by our managing editor, Mr. Sujit Nair. Sujit, as I said, the first question that comes to mind is, now that this government has won the floor test, Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis have already taken oath. They are yet to discuss the portfolios. They are yet to discuss the power sharing formula or seat sharing formula, ministerial formula. So going forward, where do you think this alliance will take these two leaders?
See, Aarti, the sheer fact that Eknath Shinde was made the CM and Devendra Fadnavis the DCM, this actually put everything into tizzy. Till then, things were already fine because we all thought Devendra Fadnavis would take over as a CM and Eknath Shinde would be the deputy CM. Things would have been fine. Things would have been going smoothly to a very major extent. But now things look very different because you'll have a more prominent DCM than the CM because you have a more experienced DCM than the CM. You have a more if I may say that, because one has not seen much of Eknath Shinde, but one has seen much of a lot of Devendra Fadnavis. So he's been an efficient CM. He's been a CM who has been a go-getter and all of that, infrastructure project wise, and things he has delivered also. So you are looking at a deputy CM who's much more efficient than a CM. Now, what happens when a deputy is more prominent than the boss? There is bound to be conflict between the boss and deputy. And I'm not talking rocket science here. I'm talking simple management processes. When the deputy is far more effective than the boss himself, then there is bound to be conflict between the deputy and the boss. Now, will that happen? That's question number one. Question number two is decision making. Finally, who is going to make decisions? Okay, the RA decision is very clearly a BJP decision, which is very clearly a Fadnavis decision, which has just happened. Okay, now that's first. That's the first decision that the government took, which was a BJP, which is a Fadnavis decision. Going here on, who is going to take the decisions? Whose decisions are going to be actually implemented? This is something that it would be very interesting to see. And as things go further, more and more, I presume, I may be wrong, that more and more decisions will be Devendra Fadnavis decisions. That's number one. Number two, who is going to hold the power? Who is going to hold home? Will the DCM hold home? Will the CM hold home? If the DCM is holding home, who's going to hold revenue? Who's going to hold have charge for finance? Okay, so what will be the CM's portfolio? What will be the DCM's portfolio? So that's also going to be very interesting. So these are facts that one needs to see, and which we will see tomorrow, day after, and the day after that. That's when we get to know what exactly is going to happen in Maharashtra politics. But till then, I guess the question is that CM and DCM, the sheer nomination of CM and DCM by BJP and Shiv Sena, God knows who is the real Shiv Sena now, but is a question, and that's where this thoughts about not being there will be midterm elections and all these thought processes are happening now.
Well, there is one Ajit Pawar speech that is going viral since yesterday. Yesterday, that was the first day of this special assembly. He obviously he was delivering some of his witty remarks and all that. But apart from that, he posed one very important question, and that question was: there are 39 Shiv Sena MLAs who are with Eknath Shinde now. How many of them will get ministerial post among all these leaders? And now there is also BJP. Now there will be MLAs, there will be loyal MLAs of BJP who would want a share in the power.
See, I'll tell you something. The fact that Devendra Fadnavis has made the ultimate sacrifice of becoming a DCM, okay, the ultimate sacrifice, because it's not just sacrifice, he was humiliated, literally. It was a humiliating this thing. But he took that decision. He accepted the senior command's decision to be a DCM. That is a lesson for every party worker. If Fadnavis can be a DCM, then any party worker should be anything that has been told to him or her. That's the first message that has been sent across. That's number one. Number two, now the problem is portfolio amongst Shiv Senics. Okay, what will Shiv Sena get and what will Shiv Sena not get? See, I think the earlier government was a 3/4 government. BJP, Congress, NCP, and Shiv Sena. And Shiv Sena had 1/3 of the share of power, maybe a little more than, in terms of activity, a little more than 1/3. The CM themselves were there. But now they have half. So that itself means that the number of portfolios are more. So accommodating Shiv Sena leaders, rebel leaders and all is easier than what it was before. So that's the first thing that I would say. So while I think that there is going to be some unrest, some dissatisfied leaders and dissatisfied rebels and so on and so forth, but I don't think it is going to be a major ruckus where everything will fall flat and you'll see everybody dissatisfied tomorrow and all that. I don't see all of that happening as far as Maharashtra is concerned.
But then there is one also interesting factor within the rebel MLAs as well. Many of them are ministers who held some plum portfolios when they were with Mahavikas Aghadi. Now, apart from these ministers, there are several rebel MLAs who have gone there who were earlier unsatisfied because they did not get the ministry. Now that both are in rebel camp, that is Eknath Shinde camp, the question is, who will get the ministry? And which ministry will they get? Will they get the same ministry that they held before or not? And will that lead to some kind of a dissatisfaction among them? Do you think this will be a possibility going forward?
See, Aarti, before rebelling, before taking such a big risk, each of these people must have got something in return. That something could be protection against ED, that something could be whatever, something in return. Otherwise, a person will not. See, for the good of humankind, mankind, nobody is going to jump political party and all. They will jump political parties for their own benefit first. Then maybe at some point in time, by my constituency, I will not be voted again, and all that could be the next factor. So there has been a jump. So I want to believe that there has been a clear understanding of what is the give and take. What are they going to get in lieu of this big step that they have taken? Okay, what is the kind of portfolio they can look forward to? What is the kind of offer that they will get? That must have been already discussed to a very major extent. Okay, now the reason I'm saying to a very major extent, had this been, if Devendra Fadnavis has been the CM and Eknath Shinde had been the DCM, I would have told you 100% these decisions have been taken. Now I'm saying chances are is because there was this twist in this entire assembly. So based on that twist, is that going to continue? So has that spoiled the apple cart? Is there a problem? Is there going to be, has the math being spoiled? The math being ruined? The discussions kind of changing? If that's the case, that is why I'm saying possibly. But to a very major extent, I believe that most of these people must have been told what they're getting, and for them rebelling against Shiva Sena. So that's what I believe.
Now, Sharad Pawar in his internal meeting said that there is a possibility that this government could fall in the coming days, and there is a possibility of midterm polls. What is your opinion about this? Do you think it's a possibility that Maharashtra will go for midterm polls after all this political drama?
See, Aarti, I'll tell you, it is his guess is as good as mine, and my guess is as good as his. He is a far, far bigger political thinker, so he possibly has taken it. He must have 20 other strategic or analytical reason. But that being said, see, end of the day, look at it. He's an opposition political party head, the NCP head, who not only NCP looks up to, but Congress and Shiv Sena also now looks up to him as their leader. Now he cannot say, "Na yaar, kuch nahi yaar, sab gaya. My party is over, everything is over. We have to pack our bags and go home." He cannot say that. So obviously, in his party election, to keep his party men motivated, to keep his people motivated, he is bound to say that, listen, you know what? There's going to be a midterm election, midterm poll, and all of that. He's bound to say that. Hacha. Now, so that's one end of the story. But now, what I said before. See, Aarti, again, what I said before, a leader who is a DCM who is possibly more experienced and more popular and more, so-called better administrator than the CM. I'm not saying better administrator because I'm nobody to judge, because I've not seen Mr. Shinde in chair. But as on today, this man has got Devendra Fadnavis is known as a better administrator in Maharashtra. CMs, he's one of the good CMs that Maharashtra produced. So the fact remains that you have a new CM, but a super experienced DCM who was the CM before. That's not the right mix. There is some flaw in the mix because there are bound to be clashes. That's the clash. That is the reason I would say that this doesn't look like a most stable government and all of that. It doesn't look because I also foresee some clashes that's going to happen between the CM and the DCM.
Well, but it's a nobody's guess, because even when Mahavikas Aghadi was formed, a lot of people said that it's an unnatural alliance and it will not last long. It will not last beyond even 6 months.
It did.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. See, I'll tell you, Aarti, I'll tell you this. See, Aarti, you minus the number of the months that went in COVID. Because at that point in time, any government, any person pulling down a government, you know what would have been the ramification? So you minus the number of months that went to COVID. Okay. Also the fact that Uddhav Thackeray was hospitalized. He was going through a surgery. Okay. Pulling down the government when he was having a surgery. Look at what would have been that impact that would have had in the party that is pulling down the people that are pulling down, and the party that is supporting the people that are pulling down. Now minus these two from the total number of months that Mahavikas Aghadi has functioned, the answer would be this 6, 8, 12 months, 6, 8, 9 months.
What do you think going forward should be strategy for Uddhav Thackeray? Because at least 4 MLAs, according to reports, had approached him yesterday and asked him to reconcile with Eknath Shinde.
I would also ask him the same. Reconciling with Eknath Shinde, like I told in my editorial, reconciling with Eknath Shinde doesn't mean that he's whitewashed his commitments to others, commitments to people who stood by him when he was ditched. MBA, like he constantly says, Sonia Gandhi and Pawar stood by him and they're standing by him even today. So that doesn't mean that he will go against them. What he's saying is, listen, you know what? My MLAs have gone against this. We are a democratic party. Here you are. If they want to go with Eknath Shinde, go with Eknath Shinde. Is a better strategy than losing Shiv Sena at this stage in time, because then that will mean that Shiv Sena will be in a very, very bad shape as a party. Forget about as a government. As a party, it will be in bad shape. Number one. Number two is that buys him time. That buys him time because that buys him 2 months to reconcile, to go back to his MLAs, to go back to his constituencies, to go back to his people, go back to the people of Maharashtra, consolidate Shiv Sena. Because if he goes on fighting within, there are internal conflicts. When will he go to people? When will he go and restructure, resurrect the party again? He will not get that time. He needs peace and he needs some stability to resurrect the party, and that stability could come if he reconciles, gets them to be with them, gets them to together. Nobody can throw Uddhav Thackeray as president if Shiv Sena reunites. Nobody can throw. You can't think of a Shiv Sena without a Thackeray. Let's face facts. This will help him. This will help him to resurrect himself.
Well, but Shiv Sena without Thackeray is hard to imagine, but assembly without Thackeray could be a possibility, because Aditya Thackeray is among those 16 MLAs from Uddhav Thackeray camp who have defied the whip that was issued by Eknath Shinde camp. Now that the speaker has approved Eknath Shinde camp chief whip as the original chief whip of the Shiv Sena, that's a sort of a crisis for these 16 MLAs, because they stand to be disqualified, and among them is Aditya Thackeray. Disqualifying Aditya Thackeray from assembly while he is elected for the first time, do you think it's a wise move for even Eknath Shinde?
I beg your pardon. So sorry, Aarti. I was slightly distracted.
So my question was disqualifying, moving a bit for disqualification of Aditya Thackeray, first Thackeray in the assembly, that to elected Thackeray in the assembly. Will that be a good move for Eknath Shinde?
See, I'll tell you what choice does Eknath Shinde have? I mean, these are choiceless decisions. It's not that you have a choice and you don't have. Those are choiceless decisions. If Aditya Thackeray does not support the government, they have to bid to disqualify him. So that's a natural decision that he has taken. The ramification could be that people will not like it. Some people will not like it. Some people will like it. But the fact is, this decision is in congruency to the decision which he has already taken, and that is when he went out as rebel and said, "I want to go with anybody other than NCP and Congress, which is obviously BJP, and form the government. I don't want to stick to MBA." When he said that, these decisions were part of that decision. These cannot be seen in isolation. He has to see it as part of that particular decision which he took, Aarti.
I think we have already spoken about this, but again, Sheikh Sohail has asked us this question. Do you think that this newly formed government will be stable? And I would also like to request all of our viewers, whoever is watching us on YouTube, Facebook or Twitter, please, whatever questions you have, ask us in the comment box below and we will take it up. So this question, sir, from Sheikh Sohail, do you think that this newly formed government will be stable?
Like I told you, Aarti, I repeat my point. My submission is that, you see, this government, I would have said that, I don't see much of a difference between MBA and this government before. But the fact that, the DCM, CM thing, I think it's that combination, I find it very odd. And I find this combination unnecessary. Because I thought that CM would be an experienced CM, that is Devendra Fadnavis. DCM would be an experienced minister, that is Eknath Shinde. That is what I assumed this would be. But then this political jugglery, I found it very strange. So this particular positioning, I don't know how stable this government can be. I don't know if there will be conflict. I think there will be conflict, but this is my prediction. There is no strategic right and wrong here. So I predict that there could be problems in the future.
Well, Mr. RVK Kandharkar has one interesting point to make. He says that that Sharad Pawar is sort of misleading people as he wanted his daughter Supriya Sule as chief minister. I mean, keeping apart this misleading part, because we know that they are politicians, it's their job to protect their own interest. Do you think Sharad Pawar wants to see Supriya Sule as chief minister of Maharashtra? Because there have been some murmurs, there have been some whispers about this.
There is no question about it. What murmurs and whispers? I think his ultimate ambition now, more than his own ambition, would be to see his daughter as the chief minister of Maharashtra. There is no murmurs and this thing in it. It is undisputed. It is undisputed. And the path in which Maharashtra is currently going, like I told you before, the way things are, if Shiv Sena doesn't work magic, if Shiv Sena doesn't put the best of strategic minds into resurrecting themselves, the chances are Maharashtra will see two parties. One is BJP and the other is NCP. Emerging as two huge parties in Maharashtra. And if that happens, and if NCP can tide over BJP, you never know. The next CM is Supriya Sule. So it's not even unnatural.
Correct. Mr. Sahil Khan has a question. It's in municipal corporation, that is election of municipal corporation is on the way. How do you see road ahead of real Uddhav Thackeray Sena, that is the original Shiv Sena, to compete with the other faction?
See, Sohel's answer I'll give you in three factors. Okay, number one, there will be some amount of sympathy in whatever happened, which will go to Uddhav Thackeray. Number one. Number two is on ground. There will have to be a lot of restructuring. Why restructuring? Because a lot of leaders of Shiv Sena has gone away. Now one has to see who are the leaders who are going to stick to Shiv Sena and who are going to be the leaders who are going to fight with Shiv Sena in the municipal election. Point number two. Point number three is more so Shiv Sena needs tremendous motivation, tremendous leadership now. Uddhav Thackeray has to generate that leader in him, get that leadership, give that leadership to Shiv Sena, and that is important. I'll tell you why. Because somewhere down the line, see, if you look at last 3 months, Shiv Sena has done nothing but lose. Lost. Okay, lost Rajya Sabha elections, lost MLC elections, and lost the government. Okay, it is not NCP, it is not Congress, it is Shiv Sena who has lost it. So this is one party that has lost huge chunks from their lives. So now if you look at it that way, then what is next? What do you do next? So somewhere down the line, the first thing you would tell is that you need to motivate your people. You need to motivate your rank and file. You need to tell your rank and file that we are still good. We are still number one. We are still the old Shiv Sena. We are still Balasaheb Thackre's Shiv Sena. That has to be convinced. That has to go down to the ground. That is why I told you possibly aligning would be a better idea. Why? Because at least you buy time for yourself. Okay, go down to the ground. Tell people that कुछ नहीं, सब ठीक है. दो चार लग गया, लेकिन we are still back in the fight. That needs to happen. Acha, if these things don't happen, then the ultimate result is not going to be good for Shiv Sena. And if the ultimate result in the municipal election, both BMC, TMC, Kalyan Dombivli, and all these elections, if the ultimate result is not good for Shiv Sena, it's bad time ahead for Shiv Sena.
Well, we have another question from Harshal Kadam. Do you think that these rebel MLAs will come back to Shiv Sena after BMC elections? See, I'll answer Harshal this way, that this rebel MLAs has got nothing to do with BMC. They went because some of them were scared of ED and IT and all that, and some of them wanted better portfolio. Some of them genuinely felt that, yaar, mere liye kuch ho nahi raha. Okay, I'm growing nowhere, I'm getting nothing in Shiv Sena. So yes, that happened. Okay, now, but the fact remains that the chances of them coming back to Shiv Sena is only when Shiv Sena starts showing them that we've got a better offer for you than what you are currently. Correct? Otherwise, why would they come back? So now that's the point. Shiv Sena needs to build that better option. Shiv Sena has to say that, come back, guys, we are as good as we ever were.
That's the good option. That's the option that Shiv Sena needs to generate. That's the image that Shiv Sena needs to create. That's the communication Shiv Sena needs to give these people. Only then will they come back. Otherwise, what is in it for them to come back to Shiv Sena now?
Well, we have another question from Mr. Shamal Rao. He's asking, is the
Mr.
reversal
Shamal
of
Rao is a very old viewer of us, and he's
Yes.
constantly been a huge support for us. Yes, please.
Thank you. First of all, very thank you, Shamal Rao ji, for watching HW News and trusting HW News for so many years. Now, his question is reversal of roles anytime in the future between CM Eknath Shinde and Deputy CM Devendra Fadnavis possible? Is it a possibility?
See, I think Mr. Shamal Rao, I'm sure, will be aware that there is no constitution rule saying that it is not possible. Constitutionally, it can be possible. You can reverse the rule. That being said, if the CM resigns, mind you, they have to show. If the CM resigns, the cabinet falls. The cabinet is over. So that is a process by itself. All of this being said and done, which is not a very difficult thing if you've got the numbers with you, so you can easily put it. But will a person who's sitting in a CM's chair want to get down and make a person who's sitting in a DCM chair come back and sit in the CM? What will be the political ramification of that? Those are things that needs to be spoken about. It's not about sheer constitution. Constitutionally, there's nothing wrong. There are provisions in the constitution. The cabinet falls and you put a new cabinet together, prove your majority, and you form a new cabinet. That's all possible. But again, there has to be a process. Whether the other person would like it, whether the deputy CM would like it, whether the CM would like it. These are questions that needs to be asked, and that's why we say that things are not looking so. So this is one thing that may have a problem.
Mr. Joshua has a question. What will be the effect on 2024 Lok Sabha on national levels? Because few weeks earlier, there were talks that Sharad Pawar could be made the UPA chairperson, and then KCR and Mamta were backing that. They had actually this thought through, and they were the ones who were supporting this plan.
Your channel said it first that Pawar will not accept the chairmanship of UPA. In fact, there were news floating in the media that Mr. Pawar is willing to accept and possibly he will be made the chairperson of UPA. And we had told that very minute, say that the chance of it happening is very remote. You see, Mr. Pawar is a leader who will never close doors. He doesn't believe in closing doors. He only believes in believing in opening doors. What I mean by closing doors and opening doors, Pawar Sahab, as a politician, is a gentleman who likes options. He is not going to stick to UPA. He always wants to keep the option of an NDA open. If at all there is a need for him to go there. And he is not going to stick to NDA. He'll always keep an option open for UPA if he wants to go there. So, Sharad Pawar is a person who keeps his options open. And a person who keeps his option open will not go and become the chairperson of UPA, because then he's committed to UPA. And he's committed to UPA and other parties who are part of UPA. He can't be the chairperson of UPA and go and vote for NDA, can he? So the fact is, this is not his trip in life. Okay, when he was nominated they were hoping to nominate him for the president. He will never want to be the president and nominated by the president, nominated as a president by the opposition, till such time that he was absolutely sure that if I stand, I will become the president. Because if I don't become the president and I stand and I lose the election, then what happens is then NDA, then definitely it will be very embarrassing for Mr. Pawar to go and support NDA in future ventures. Because you are a presidential candidate of UPA and you are supporting NDA. So if you see Pawar's life, if you see Pawar's political life, he is not a person who will commit to a particular position unless and until he knows he is going to get that position and he is going to benefit out of it. Only then will he take up the position. I don't think he is going to be the president of UPA or chairperson of UPA. I'm sorry.
Miss Mary Dennis has a question. Who is expected to gain ground in 2024 from this falling out and lose out the most?
Good question, Mary. I think that the answer to this is, see, like I told you, I am saying things as is. See, I'll tell you, you know why predictions should not be taken beyond it should always be taken with a pinch of salt, because dynamics are changing every day. Who thought, for instance, that Devendra Fadnavis would be the DCA? Dynamics are changing. Now, the point is, as on today, the way it looks, if Shiv Sena doesn't resurrect itself and doesn't come back as a brand it was, what is going to happen is, like I told a few minutes back, there are only going to be two brands. That is, one is BJP, another is NCP. Congress will relegate it to a small little party. So is Shiv Sena, if Shiv Sena doesn't resurrect themselves. Congress resurrecting, I don't know. I am not even seeing a plan in this thing, so I'm not even going to talk about Congress in Maharashtra. Now, the point is, if that happens, then you never know. You never know, because Sharad Pawar, when he is out on campaign, he can move Maharashtra. We have seen that in 2019. That shot of him standing in rain and giving that speech that he was addressing the masses. Oh, that went viral. That went viral. People who were not for him also kind of this thing. So you never know. Sharad Pawar can move Maharashtra. That's one. Secondly, now one needs to know how is BJP going to consolidate. How many of those rebel leaders may merge with BJP? How many winning candidates will BJP have? Because, mind you, after end of the day's play, BJP may end up having a lot of winning candidates with them for 2024. Because you never know how many people join them from NCP, from Congress, from Shiv Sena. You never know. So BJP may have a lot of winning candidates with them. So I see, if today, let me rephrase. Today, I see 2024 in Maharashtra as a fight between NCP and BJP. That's the way I see it.
Mr. Shanmugam Sundaram has a question. Does Shiv Sena have any chance of poll if poll happens now, without giving seats to rebel MLA? So basically, his question is, can Shiv Sena, what are the chances of Shiv Sena winning if the polls happen now?
See, Shiv Sena will get a percentage of vote, that is sympathy votes. A percentage of vote Shiv Sena will get. But will that be a dramatic change in Shiv Sena's numbers? No. It won't be. So if Shiv Sena, if there's a midterm election and if Shiv Sena stands today, chances are Shiv Sena may not do well. Why? Because a lot of Shiv Sena leaders who have now been are rebels, which is what, 39, right, Aarti?
39, yes.
39 leaders. 39 out of 55, 56, mind you. So a lot of rebel leaders who are now in Shiv Sena, a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, I'm repeating myself, a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them. A lot of them are people who can win elections on their own steam, without a political party backing. Now, these MLAs, you never know. You never know how they will react, and how they will, how many of these seats will go to whichever party these MLAs are with. If they are with BJP, then with BJP, or if they are with a new party, then with new party, or whatever happens to Shiv Sena in the future. So yeah, Shiv Sena's, you can't bet that if there is a midterm poll, Shiv Sena will do well. You can't bet on that.
Well, we started with this question, Dheeraj. Dheeraj Sinha has this question that how long this Maharashtra government will last. As I said, Sharad Pawar is predicting that in the next 6 months, this government will fall. He has already asked his cadre to prepare for the next election. In case the government falls, there will be midterm elections. So he has asked the cadres to prepare for that. So opposition is saying that this government will not last more than 6 months. But we don't exactly know how long this Maharashtra government will last. Will it last beyond the civic polls, or before civic polls this government will fall? It is too early to say at this moment, because it has just been 1 or 2 days that this government is in power. There is still the allocation of portfolios that has to be done. So that will also tell us a lot about whether there are internal frictions in this government or not. So I think we have taken all these questions, and I think it is time for us to wrap up also. Last thing, as I said, Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde camp has won the floor test, and now they will be forming government. There were reports that the Eknath Shinde camp wants to keep the urban development as well as finance ministry with them, but now it remains to be seen how they bifurcate the portfolios, how they allot the portfolios among them to make the rebel MLAs also comfortable in this entire alliance. Well, that's all for this live. Do stay tuned to HW News for all the latest updates regarding this. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.